John, how's it going?
Eric, it's going pretty good. Going pretty good. How you doing tonight?
Um, I didn't think ahead. I was going to get a different F word, but I guess fabulous, fantastic, fanciful, fortunate. They all work. They all work. They all work.
Fortunate. The fortunate few.
Yes.
Yes.
All good. All good.
Well, that's good. That's good. It's a little rainy out there. My wife came home from work today, and she's like, "All right, I got to go out and feed the animals." That's exactly what I want to do right at the moment. And I was like,
"The rains have returned."
I thank you, but I don't think I'm gonna come out with you. It seems miserable out there. She's like, "Yeah, it looks miserable to me too."
So my boy, bless his heart. So I think I mentioned before that a few years ago, our basement, flooded is too strong a term, but got extra damp far enough into the basement that I got irritated.
Uh-huh.
And so, we did a bunch of work to
prevent this from
ever happening again in the future. But ever since then, anytime it rains really hard, like it did this evening, my boy is out there in a raincoat and a hoe and, a shovel, making sure that the water is going the direction it's supposed to be going.
Does not pond up and pool near the house.
And while I appreciate his efforts, he digs new trenches in places that don't need trenches. It's fine. It's fine. It's all good.
Yeah. No, that's good.
Every boy needs a hobby.
Oh, I should have double checked. I still literally have a ladder on my back porch from going up and cleaning out the gutters and installing those metal
leaf guard things.
Yeah, well, just around the drains to kind of keep the drains so they'll still drain.
Right.
Which I did a couple weeks ago, kind of waiting for another torrential downpour to see if.
Nice.
But I don't remember anything happening there. So anyway, I forgot to double check. Forgot to verify my work. But
okay,
it's all good. It's all good.
Don't worry, it will rain again.
Do not have to wait for very long.
You will have plenty of time to check your work.
Yeah, exactly. I swear I have bought more of those things than I could possibly have downspouts. I don't know. Maybe the birds come and pull them out during the summer and take them up for their nests or something. That's a joke.
So hardcore.
But,
it's like a heavy metal bird. I see him in like a black t-shirt, wings clipped,
Right. Yeah. I don't know. It seems like it's never ending list of projects.
Well, there's a reason the home is called a money pit.
Yeah. Not joking. No, so I made not a mistake, but one of my chores for the weekend was to go do some weed eating, to which in my head I was like, oh, that won't take me very long. Dear listener, it took me very long. I came back in Sunday evening, and I practically couldn't move. It was pretty bad. That's my problem. I'm like sedentary so much during the week, and then I go out and think I can spend. I don't know how long I spent. More than 1 hour, probably. I think it was about 2.5 hours, and that was very physical. Anyway.
Okay.
Anyway,
all good.
It's all good.
Yeah.
But mission accomplished, which is what I was aiming for.
Weeds have been eaten?
Yeah, it was more like going underneath the bottom low line on a pasture so that all the electric line could be hot, made hot. And so it was not a small area. Anyway, and okay. I filled all the potholes on the driveway with the drain rock. So
nice.
Yeah, the water comes and you're like, how in the world did these potholes show up overnight?
Yeah,
overnight. Which I know they don't show up overnight, but it sure feels like they do.
Yeah,
and also, where does all the gravel go? I don't understand. Anyway, but it's all good. It's all good.
It's migratory gravel.
Exactly right. Yeah. So, what happened? Anything fun this weekend for you?
Not really. I have my new electric car, all electric car, and so I went out driving up and down the freeway just to see if I felt like I'd be squished like a bug. Drove around downtown, just kind of took it out for. It's a lot of fun. I'm still enjoying the vehicle. I also put up the charger in the garage in a location, so hanging it on the wall. So that was nice. The plug didn't fit where my outlet was. So I had to buy a very large extension cord.
Wait, what do you mean the plug didn't fit where your outlet was?
So the plug to the charger and the outlet, where the outlet is for the NEMA, well, I think it's 15 or 1450. So the 50 amp outlet that you plug your charger into is in my garage in location A.
Like the wrong spot?
in location A. I wanted to hang up my charger and the cable in location B. The distance between location A and B was about 12 feet. So I had to get an extension cord, a very long, it's like a good inch thick around, which I suppose if you're running 50 amps, you probably want
50 amp extension cords are nothing to laugh at.
You probably want them to be semi-serious. So,
although you can make your own pretty easily.
I do not trust myself to do that.
There's like 4 wires, and they're all different colors. But
Amazon delivered something, and I plugged it in,
and it worked.
And I kind of anchored it to the wall in spots so that it wasn't just flapping around behind my garbage cans, because the outlet was right behind where my garbage can goes. So
I see.
Anyways, it's all set up now. I am still the Eric electric car experiment is still going, and we'll see how it goes. Anyways, that was my weekend.
Okay,
mostly just
that's good. That's good.
Trying it out. What can I do and what can I not do with it?
Well, I think you gave me a little ride in it, and seems like an awesome car.
It's a lot of fun. It only goes 100 miles. That's the downside is the range is really minuscule on it. But for what I'm going to use it for, get around town, go to the grocery store, go to lunch, that kind of stuff, it'll be fine.
Yeah.
So
it'll be fine.
It'll be fine.
So I wonder, do they have tow trucks these days that come just to recharge
for 20 minutes or something?
Is that a roadside service that is done? I've not had to think about that before.
I want to ask, because I have AAA, and we've used the roadside assistance more than once. Over the last whatever number of years. So I will have to, I wonder, because they have mobile chargers now that, they can carry them out and they'll charge you a little bit. Yeah. That's
just a bunch of batteries.
Yeah.
I have to imagine that's you can get on the ground floor of the burgeoning mobile charge you up business.
That's an interesting idea.
I don't know. Okay. Well, you'll have to keep me posted on the full electric lifestyle.
Yeah. So far, so good.
That'll be good.
All right.
Yeah. Well, topics. What'd you bring tonight?
So the one I brought tonight apparently is also the one you were going to bring tonight. But I just did my notes first. Is how that worked out.
Well, finders, keepers, firsties,
whatever.
Secondies, weepers. I don't know.
Secondies. Anyway, so the note that I saw, because you and I are both big 1Password users and 1Password fans, was 1Password had an incident. And immediately said, no user data or sensitive information was accessed as a result of an attack on Okta, what is that, IDP?
So 1Password, the company, used Okta the
To
identity
authenticate,
provider for their enterprise or
yeah,
corporate employees.
for their corporate employees to enable things. And so there's two articles I think I'll post in here. One was Krebs, who was the first one to disclose it, that he starts, in an advisory sent to an undisclosed number of customers on October 19th. Okta said it, quote, has identified adversarial activity that leveraged access to a stolen credential to access Okta's support case management system. The threat actor was able to view files uploaded by certain Okta customers as part of recent support cases.
Ooh.
And so Okta explained that when it is troubleshooting issues with customers, it will often ask them for a recording of a web browser session, so an HTTP archive. I've sent these to companies who have been debugging issues for me in the past.
Okay, but they contain the requests and the responses, including headers,
cookies, session tokens, and stuff that intruders can use to impersonate valid users.
Yep.
And okay. So, anywho.
So Okta has been dealing with their breach for a bit, and this was part of that.
Yes. And
a consequence of one of the things.
The complaint from a lot of folks seems to be that customers reported this to Okta, not the other way around. So the complaint has been Okta took apparently either found out about it from customers or found out about it themselves, but didn't notify any customers.
Oh.
Until customers started notifying them. And so that's kind of the complaints from several different companies who have come forward and said, yeah, we were part of the Okta breach.
Interesting.
But, I think poor Okta apparently lost $2 billion in market cap after the breach, but it was 1Password, Cloudflare. There were a number of other companies that have come forth and mentioned that they were part of it, and a little bit of their frustration in dealing with. But apparently, it didn't really affect any of the customers' data. And like 1Password, which was the one that I was very keen to read about, 1Password in their incident report that they posted online says, we would like to reiterate that no 1Password user data or sensitive information was accessed as a result of the attack on Okta support systems. This activity was confined to our Okta instance, and the attacker was not able to create a new Google identity provider or access our Google instance. They modified and re-enabled a connection to our own production Google instance within Okta, which we deleted prior to the attacker's unsuccessful attempt to access it on October 2nd. So this is still a good 2-3 weeks ago. Yeah, 3 weeks ago now. And it's just kind of just now becoming public. So anyways.
Wow. What is that? On September 29th, we detected suspicious activity.
Yeah, so Okta, of course, now has a blog file basically telling all customers that, you should get rid of certain things and do these checks on these various things. So,
yeah.
All good.
All right.
All good. My daughter actually approached me and said, hey, Dad, I read about this. We use 1Password. Do I care? And I was, hey, good. You are paying attention. And her the comment was, well, no, because not even 1Password can read my passwords.
Right.
They have everything's encrypted on their side and stored on their side, but it's all encrypted. They can't, and I have the key, or we have the key. So, not that they could never read it, because they probably would have access to more compute than I have, but it would be not in their financial interest to try to do so. And who cares about me, anyways?
Well, I guess I would say if it's that severe of a breach, it's it's getting the client, something on the client breached that actually sends the password that you type into the client, or logs something, or even though yes, it is end-to-end encrypted or stored encrypted, they don't have the private key, etc. I typed that password in a lot.
So many times. Yeah.
So, yeah, exactly.
Yep.
But
so there you go.
As their name implies, it's the one password I really need to remember, kind of. Okay. So my article that I went and dug up, since somebody stole
Someone stole your article.
the other one, no, is all good. So there has been a kind of it's not really a slow moving train wreck, a pretty fast moving train wreck on Cisco devices that have been getting hit with 0 days over the past week-ish or so. So, the other iOS, sounds like, so the link I'll put in here is to Risky Biz newsletter from Catalan. Been a while since we've heard from him on here, but it's a summary of some of the stuff that happened last week and then a bunch of stuff that happened over the weekend. Because the attacks started September 28th, or it says the attacks have been taking place since at least September 28th. But the news came out last Monday on October 16th when Cisco revealed the existence of a 0 day in the web administration that allowed threat actors to create an admin account with the highest level of privilege if you had your web UI exposed on the internet. But the further investigations last week, they found a second 0 day that the attackers were using to use the admin account that they had created via the web UI to inject commands into the iOS file system, the Cisco iOS, that would execute with root privileges.
Okay.
And while Cisco thought that it had been a known 0 day from 2021 that had been fixed, it actually wound up that it was a new second 0 day that they're tracking as a different CVE. But so basically 2 0 days, one of which allowed you to create an admin account, and then the other of which was to escalate to root on the it said on the iOS XE file system.
Okay.
So I don't know why they said, it seems weird to say file system, but okay. But what happened this past weekend, the thing that they said is weird, is that the backdoor that had been placed on all the hacked devices started disappearing. So there are a couple of companies that track the numbers of hacked devices around the world, and that it peaked at around 42,000. But it said it was quote, that number remained steady until this weekend when it suddenly dropped to around 500 to 1,000. And I'll just keep reading, I guess. It says several theories exist as to what happened, ranging from law enforcement intervention, FBI doing its thing again, not quoting anymore, but that's happened a number of times in the last year or two, where government agencies will get a court order and will go clean up a particularly bad infection. Getting back to this, let's see. Ranging from law enforcement intervention to a white hat cleaning infected systems, and even Cisco itself cleaning customer devices. However, it's very likely this action was performed by the threat actor itself. The Lua backdoor was not a particularly strong persistence system, since it could be removed with a device reboot, and its public visibility was attracting too much attention to the attacker's operations. So it says, meanwhile, Cisco delivered on its promise, on a promise it made on Friday, and released patches for both 0 days on Sunday. That is so impressive. That is so impressive, just regardless of everything else. The ability to, find a defect, patch it, and have it released to, tens of thousands at least in this instance.
Yeah.
But probably more like hundreds of thousands of devices is
Right.
It's just so amazing, and result has to be a result of good engineering practices. But so the question is, did they use the escalation to root to, enable something else that is still a persistence, and then clean up the one that's easily trackable? So it's not the end of the article, but the last thing I kind of pulled out was that the sentence that says, applying the latest patches will not be a one and done operation. It'll just be the beginning of a sprawling security sprawling security audit of what happened on that device over the last month.
Yeah. Huh.
And really, if it was compromised at all, it hopefully means that a lot of those devices will be getting their firmware flashed. And
yeah. Yep.
Pave it and rebuild it.
Yeah.
But anyway, so that was the article I brought. Okay. So cool. Not that you or I are having to manage Cisco devices around the world these days.
No.
But I'm sure there's a lot of network engineers spent a lot of time this past weekend scrambling.
Yeah.
So
I'm sure we know a few.
I have no doubt.
All right.
So anyway. All right. How about something fun?
All right. So mine is about space. I'm pretty sure I know we've talked about in the past, the cost of sending a satellite to space is, in the grand scheme of things, incredibly cheap. And so lots of companies and startups are sending things to space now, right? So there's this big rush to send things to space. And so all these things are up in space. There is an article that I will just read a little bit here. A small spacecraft is waiting patiently for permission to return home. So this is a satellite that went up in space and was meant to land back on Earth at sometime in September. So it'll be the first commercial space company to return a satellite to Earth. And what this company does, it's Varda Space Industries, and they are developing a drug on a satellite, I assume remote, to see if that helps, develop and build drugs better in the vacuum of space. It's an interesting thing. So they apparently sent up a few grams of HIV and hepatitis C antiviral, ritonavir. I don't know what all that is.
Okay.
But it's a satellite that they sent to space, about the large size of a large trash can. And I love the name they gave it, the Winnebago 1. And so it's orbiting Earth, and the FAA regulates the reentry operations of U.S. space missions, even in Australia. This is what's interesting, even in Australia. And so the delay...
Wait, even in Australia?
Fascinating. The FAA...
Was it meant to land in Australia?
No, it was meant to land in the Utah desert in September. But the delay has nothing to do with the satellite itself. The satellite is sitting there waiting, and it's operating perfectly. And it is apparently an ongoing struggle between the company, Varda, and the U.S. government agencies back on the ground. So, and the CEO, I think later in the article, talks about it's just there's so much stuff going on in space, and there are only certain windows when you can bring things back from space to Earth. You need stars to literally. You sort
of need the math to work.
Yes, you need the math to work, and it's a tension between regulators and commercial space companies, because the commercial space companies, essentially what the CEO of Varda basically says is, they're not staffed to support what we're trying to do. And so we sit and we get approvals, but by the time all the approvals go through, the math no longer works, kind of thing. So, he mentioned, we were planning for the Winnebago 1 2.5 years ago, and we've been trying to get this satellite, to go up to space.
But they must have launched it without a plan, without a license or whatever to return it.
No, they did, but you have to apply for the article has a much more detail. Like a certain window, you have to register you have to get a reentry permit, but you can't get a reentry permit until all your math and you've passed all these safety things and that that you prove that it got up there fine.
So you can't actually even apply for the return until it's up there and flying.
And it avoids, it hasn't collided with anything. You can prove that it's operated safely, that it hasn't collided, that it, all the things apparently that you have to do. So this is the first company that's applied for a re-entry license for space-made medicines, apparently. And so, the CEO of the company says, we're absolute trailblazers here, and you can imagine how difficult the coordination has been. You got to find a landing site for a 90-kilogram capsule plunging through the Earth's atmosphere at hypersonic speeds before releasing a parachute to slow its landing. So it's supposed to land at the Utah Test and Training Range, which is 2 million acres of desert controlled by the Pentagon, 80 miles west of Salt Lake City. And then so he's got to work with 2 different offices of the U.S. Of the FAA that deal with air traffic control. So they want to make sure no planes are flying through the area at the time this is going. And there's like the windows and all the stuff that has to line up. And, they need everything that could go wrong during re-entry. What are the subsequent risks posed to people in aircraft, on the ground, or even in boats because it's flying over the ocean at some point. So they have to have all this stuff to land. And one of the stats that I pulled out, I'll just kind of finish up here, but one of the stats I pulled out was they had to prove that the risk to human casualty is less than 1 in 10,000. So I read that as 1 in 10,000 times that this reentry would occur, you might kill somebody. And apparently, according to their math, they meet what NASA's requirements are, which is 1 in 10,000. They exceed it. They're calculating theirs at 1 in 14,600. So it's less than what NASA requires when it's figuring out how to re-enter, get things to re-enter the atmosphere. So the few weeks ago when the space rock from the asteroid, came back, apparently the risk there might have been 1 in 10,000 shot that when it lands, on approach to Earth, there is a human casualty.
Something goes wrong. And how does that work though? When did that have did that return capsule even have the option to enter Earth orbit to control
no idea
a better time, or was it like, hey, all right, here comes the asteroid rock. This is the math. Let's make sure to clear the airspace.
That's
and here we go.
But
I don't know.
To get back to before I finish, to get back to your comment on Australia. So the comment is, hey, we just need
out of the blue.
A more responsive agency from the FAA, and obviously that has to do with funding and staffing levels not lining up to the huge increase in activity in commercial space. And so SpaceX, Blue Origin, Virgin Galactic were at a Senate hearing. Apparently, at least one of our bodies is functioning here in the U.S. That they had a Senate hearing where they complained, hey, you need at least twice the resources that you have today for licensing, rocket launches, and other things. And so this company, Varda Industries, is already looking at Winnebago 2 and planning to have it re-enter in Australia because probably a little bit more open space in Australia than trying to hit a target in the Utah desert. But that doesn't get rid of their need to clear that with the FAA, because apparently the FAA still has jurisdiction over U.S. company satellites re-entering Earth's atmosphere.
Regardless.
At least in Australia. I'm sure there's some agreement with Australia, because
sure,
I'm sure if China or somewhere else said, hey, you can land here, the U.S. couldn't do a whole lot. Other than maybe, fine the company something. I don't know. Anyways, I'm way out on a limb at that one. Anyways, there you go. That's what I thought was interesting.
Okay. Well, I hope that the Winnebago can make a safe landing.
Yeah, and maybe it'll improve some medicine. There'll be some health benefits that they'll discover that be, hey, we can set up a whole manufacturing plant in space and do something.
Hopefully, it's not live viruses or anything like that. That'll all be dead by the time they get back after having to spend another year in orbit.
Yeah.
Uh,
All right, there you go.
Okay, I'm gonna do like a completely. So go ahead and click on my link today. I'm doing a particularly nerdy site. So these are commercially available.
So you can buy
chairs used in Star Trek. I think hypothetically.
Oh, there's no links to Amazon.
When I first got this, I was like, "Are you kidding me? I like, hello, affiliate programs." Like, what's up with this? but no, these are chairs that have been used in Star Trek episodes.
It just looks like an IKEA collection, if I'm honest with you.
Well, like, of course, because they all have to look futuristic, right? But so starting at the top,
some of these are creepy,
right? No, some of these are crazy. I don't know if they start kind of old. No, they kind of bounce around. So, just the first one on there. This chair was designed by Pierre Paulin for Artefort in 1967. And then, so the site has, this is X Asterisk Scienta database chairstrack.htm. Not even HTML. But, they have sort of screenshots or images, stills from whatever the episode or movie was that the chair was seen in. So you can totally kind of, if you click on the images, you can see behind them. Clearly the screenshots are chosen with the chair as good as it can be. But there are some really crazy things down here. So if you scroll down, there's a harp chair that was on, the harp chair was designed by Jorgen Hovelskov in Denmark in 1963. Was it designed for the show? I don't know. Some of these clearly look like they're for the show, or some of them were clearly edited, tweaked to, look futuristic, for example. So there's a serpentine sectional. There's, I don't know. There's just a bunch. There's a bunch of really super, super duper weird looking ones. Like, look for the Stokey Ekstrom. This eccentric but purportedly comfortable chair was designed by Turgay Ekstrom in 1972, but not produced until the early 80s. But it basically looks like just a bunch of tubes. Not quite sure how that could be comfortable, but anyway, I saw this site. I totally clicked on it, going, "Ooh, what can you actually buy?" And I think this would be for the sort of person who's willing to go to, let's say, auctions or I'm sure there's places where you could acquire this kind of stuff if you were willing to throw money at it.
Okay, so I just got towards the bottom. There's a chair that I was like, "This." It's the MHOCH 300. NH space OCH space 300. It looks like it totally is made for the movie, but apparently it's a chair for drilling operators by the Norwegian company Alu Design. So it's not like it was. That's like a real chair for a real purpose that they just stuck in.
Because it looked so crazy.
In what Star Trek Beyond. So a more recent Star Trek. Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah. Some of
totally,
these are
right?
loopy.
Isn't that crazy?
Huh.
Isn't that crazy? Okay, so since it's your turn to edit, choose a crazy chair and put it as the image for this particular section.
I'm putting that one I just talked about.
The drilling
operator looking chair. Yeah.
Yep.
It looks incredibly uncomfortable. That'll be the chair.
It really does. It really does. It does not look like a chair that should actually exist in real life.
No.
But okay, anyway, that
All
was
right.
my something fun. I
Cool.
thought that this was hilarious. I was a little
That is fun.
disappointed you couldn't just like click on them and
Buy it off Amazon.
buy off Amazon, but there you go.
Okay.
All right.
Cool. Thanks, John.
Yep. Yeah, you bet. Have a good rest of your week.
You
And
too.
I will talk to you later, Eric.
Yep. We'll see you. Bye.
Bye.